Good morning. You're listening to Maree Gifkins on the Health and Wellness Program. So this is going to be quite an interesting morning. Let's talk about a few different subjects, shall we? You know, health and wellness is so important, and health, well, we know about that because health is all over the TV, radios, newspapers, everything about health. Lockdown, virus, immune system. So there's been a lot, and we're bombarded with wellness, health. Let's don't get sick. Let's definitely don't die. So I haven't really discussed about the virus much in the last lot of programs in the last few months because I don't need to, and everyone else can talk about it. But you know, it is important. It's important to have your immune system working. It's important to be well because these viruses feed off toxins. You know, they don't tell you in the newspaper and they don't tell you on the TV that the more toxins you have, the more the virus goes yum. So, you know, why is it that older people get sick and it can really knock them back dreadfully compared to the younger generation? What's the difference? So, you know, I would like to put forward that a lot of that is the toxins. And you might say, well, where am I getting my toxins from? Well, you're breathing. Our oxygen's not like it was 40 years ago. You know, we have a lot more cars on the road. There's all the fumes in the air. Our houses have more products into the, I don't know, what do you call it, gibboard. You have paints are a lot better now than they used to be, but our carpets have all sorts of chemicals in them, and you know, with the heat of the day, the fumes come up and we breathe them. We can't smell them, but they're there. And you know, we all know about pesticides and herbicides and fungicides and denticides and all those sides. And then there's the food, you know, and what we're eating. How good is it? We can't see the pesticides or herbicides on them, but we know that they spray them, you know, and they don't put all the nutrients into the soil. They just chuck in another lot of cropping and away we go. So the food is not as strong as it used to be 40 years ago, 50 years ago. I mean, 50 years ago, we all had a garden. And everybody had their own garden, and everybody grew their potatoes and, you know, the new potatoes with a bit of butter on it. Oh, yum. Bit of mint in the pot. You know, we had our own carrots. We had our own fruit trees even. Nowadays, you're lucky if you get a lemon tree in the house, in the garden. So, you know, when we grow our own vegetables and fruit, we look after them because we want a good yield. And so we nurture them. We put our waste into the garden, you know, whatever we don't want, we make a compost and we give it back to the land, and the plants absorb it and grow us great vegetables, and there's lots of nutrients. I remember starting out when I was doing my studies 25 years ago, and there was this comparison chart on organic vegetables and mass-produced vegetables, and that was 20 years ago. And the difference of the nutrients, you know, the zinc levels, the B vitamin levels, the A levels, all sorts of minerals and levels that they are able to break down and analyse and tell you how much is in this broccoli. In those days, 20 years ago, there was quite a big difference. And I'm like, some of it was like, you know, only a quarter of what the organic stuff was. And then it was probably about 15 years ago when they started telling us that we need to have 5 fruits and vegetables, not the standard 3 vegetables and potato and meat, I think it was. And now they're saying that we need 5 servings and 3 servings of fruit. Have you ever thought why they're telling us that now? It's because we need to eat more because we don't have the right minerals in these vegetables and fruit now. They're not as packed with nutrition as they used to be 40, 50 years ago. So we have to eat more to get the same kind of quantities. But of course, what are we doing? We're stuffing our face with more food. and putting more stress onto the body, more stress into the digestion, just to try and get what they recommend that we should have. So, I've just started off on that tangent, haven't I? I have a veggie garden, and last year I got double lots of potatoes. So I planted quite early, and then as they were coming out, I was putting more seed potatoes. So I managed to get double lot of crop of potatoes. And in lockdown, I was eating new potatoes out of my garden. How lucky am I? But there's a little bit of effort, and I had a kumara patch as well, and so I was digging up kumara in the lockdown as well. I felt very proud of myself that I had gone to that effort to do those things, and then I was able to eat my own produce. And so, if you've only got a little patch, chuck some veggies in, get some spinach. Spinach is very good. Better if you don't cook it. Raw spinach is much better for you than cooked. And there's a beautiful recipe. I'll give you a recipe. Hey, we could be kitchen cooks now. So if you get your spinach, and we know that onion and garlic is good for us, so grab a little bit of the purple onion and put a bit of purple onion in there, raw. A tiny bit of garlic. You don't want to overdose on the garlic unless you're trying to keep vampires away. And so onion, garlic, spinach, and lemon juice. Squeeze a whole lemon juice over the cut up spinach and let it just soak in for a couple of hours in the fridge. And there's your salad. Beautiful. The lemon goes into the spinach and it just stops it from being that little bit of bitterness. It sort of just gives it a bit of a top up. And a little sprinkling of Himalayan salt. That's all right. I quite like the Himalayan salt. That's the pink salt. You might have seen it in the supermarket or the health shops. So the Himalayan salt's very good because it's still got all its minerals. Okay, and that's why it's good. It's still got all the minerals there for you. Whereas the table salt, everything's been taken out and then they've put in, iodine, to make it okay for the thyroid. So, but the trouble with the natural salt, the sea salt, is that it actually still has some very fine sand particles. And so when you eat it, that's what starts clogging your arteries. They don't tell you that. And shh, you better not tell anyone. Okay, so the Himalayan salt will not clog your arteries. It's the healthiest salt that I know of. And it's quite reasonable. And you can do lots of things with the Himalayan salt. You can have a gargle, salt and water. That's always good for the throat. When you're taking it in your body with your vegetables, putting a little bit on your plate, you're getting some minerals in there as well, so that's very good. You can have a bath with the Himalayan salt. So you can put in 3 cupfuls in a bath and have a good soak. So the minerals will go in through your skin and some toxins will come out. Then you pull the plug and away it goes. Don't let your partner hop in into your toxins. Okay, so, and if you really want to be adventurous, you put a whole kilo of Himalayan salt in the bath. Okay, so why would you do that? Oh, it is lovely. Let me tell you. When I heard about that, a kilo of Himalayan salt in the bath, it was like, what are they talking about? They described it as like having a 3-day fast. And I was like, what do they mean? I've done a 3-day fast before and I didn't feel very good, and I was getting rid of toxins and I didn't think it was great until the end of the fast, and then I felt quite good. So I thought, what do they mean by this? So I hopped in the bath with a whole kilo, and you're in there for half an hour, a good temperature, not too hot, of course, not to burn yourself, and not too cold. And I'm thinking, I feel all right, but I don't feel anything weird happening or anything. And it wasn't until I got out and started to walk that I felt really light. I felt light and free and ready to, face the world again. It's like, oh, that's what they meant. It's after the 3 days fasting, that feeling that you're clean and everything feels nice and light on the inside. Okay, so if you're going through a hard time, you've had having to work long hours in work, or you're having a hard time with relationships, or family annoyances, or I don't know, maybe shifting house, and you're quite exhausted, you get a kilo of the Himalayan salt and you hop in there for half an hour, and it will just top you back up. It'll top up all the minerals and get those levels back up again, and away you go. You're ready to go. The other good reason you can use the Himalayan salt for is if you are into exercise and you've, like my husband, he's a runner, he likes to run, and he will set himself a task and he might go out running for 2 hours. And so they're using up a lot of minerals, they're sweating out a lot of minerals. And, you know, if they're too low, they can get injuries. You can get injuries in your ligaments and tendons. So they need to be topped up fast. And, you know, a lot of exercise, people who are into their exercises will take supplements and to just try and put back in what they're sweating out and using up. So anyone who's into their exercises and have got quite a regime going on, don't hesitate to use a kilo of the Himalayan salt. At least, you know, if you're doing quite high levels once a week in the bath. It's with my husband, if he was leading into a big run that maybe 4 hours, 5 hours, then a whole month before that, once a week, I'd get him in a bath with the Himalayan salt. So it's topping up, feeding all the ligaments and tendons. Then the night before the race, he'd be in a bath with the Himalayan salt. So he's ready to go. And then when we're back at the hotel, if it's, you know, we've gone away, we've travelled for it, then when we're back at the hotel after the event, he's back in the bath with another kilo of Himalayan salt. And since we've been doing that for the last quite a few years, 6 years maybe, he's never had injuries leading into, and he hasn't had injuries afterwards. So I can really recommend that one. Anyone who comes to me that's into their exercise and quite strenuous when they're using up a lot, or that people just, you know, life is hard, get into the bath, have a kilo. Oh, it's lovely. It's not very expensive. What is it? I don't know, $13 for a kilo. You can get it at Bin In, you can get it at in the supermarkets. I think that's the most expensive, is in the supermarkets. You can get it in the health shops. So it's quite easy to get. It's the pink salt, Himalayan salt. Oh, so we got onto that topic, didn't we? Okay, so maybe while we're talking about minerals, magnesium. Don't forget magnesium. One of the most important minerals, I believe. It is used for so many things in the body. You know, what did I read the other day? 3,000 enzymes alone need magnesium. That's quite a lot. Enzymes are really important in our body. We need them to be functioning well. So don't hesitate to take a supplement with magnesium, or to have an Epsom salt bath. Epsom salts is full of magnesium. And so baths, there's another way of getting it in. So the magnesium goes in through the skin. All right, so if you've been in the garden all day, or you've done wood for your fire, and you've been stacking all the wood and your back's a bit sore, or whatever activity you're doing and your back's sore and legs are sore, hop in the Epsom salts, put in a good packet into the bath, soak. The magnesium goes through your skin, into the muscles, and ignites the muscles, and away you go again. All right, so the magnesium is what we can call the happy pill. It puts that spark back in your eyes. Oh, life's not so bad. Okay, it's not what I'd call an antidepressant. It just puts the spark back in your eyes, and it makes you feel like life is okay. Life's all right. I can get through this. I can carry on. I can do this. So it also feeds the muscles. So it feeds all the muscles, which it allows you to move. It allows you to get from A to B to C to D and back again. All right, so we need our muscles moving well. So magnesium is a very important mineral, so don't ever forget magnesium in your diet or in the bath. That's a good way. You can get magnesium spray. You can spray it on your skin. And yeah, there's lots of different applications with magnesium. So it's a very important mineral. And what should we talk about now? Let's wreck around in my brain. Actually, I haven't talked about the feet lately. So maybe I'll talk about the feet for a few minutes. So feet are important. Feet are what moves us forward to the next place. And sometimes our feet take us to places we don't want to be. And sometimes they're in wonderful places and we're dancing for hours. And so the bone structure of the feet is what I specialize in. So there's 28 bones in the feet. And when they're out of place and they're subluxed a little bit, just gone out, then you don't quite stand properly on your feet. And you can stand on angles, and then that can go off into the knee and throw the knee off, and then that throws the hip off, and then that tightens the muscles, and then that starts pulling vertebrae. And so it becomes that dominoes effect all the way through the body, up into the brain and the neck, into the shoulders. Actually, for example, I had a lady, many years ago, 20 years ago, up in Waikato way, and she came and she was only about 65, and she was retired, and she had arthritis in her knee. She had a sore ankle. It was swollen, but it was okay. She could still walk, but she was starting to get arthritis in her knee on that side. She had arthritis on her hip on the other side. She had lower back pain. She had upper back pain. She had neck pain. She would get quite a bit of tension in her neck, and her neck couldn't move very easily. She had frozen shoulder, tennis elbow, and they kept going one side, then the other side. She had a bit of RSI, what do we call it now, Roosh? I keep changing names. And then she even had a little bit of tendons tightening in her fingers, and her finger would come over and lock in, and I think they call it trigger finger. And it's just like when I was taking all her details, it was like, wow, you've ticked all the boxes. and she goes, I feel like I'm a mess, but I can't stop. I've got to keep going. Playing golf, playing bowls, and if I stop, I know I'm going to freeze up and I won't be able to get going again. So I just keep myself active. And I said, fair enough, I understand that. If we don't use it, we'll lose it. She goes, that's right. And I said, okay, so what I do is the foot joint mobilization. It's working on the bone structure of the feet, realigning them, bringing them back into its more correct position. And then as you start to stand a little bit more correctly, then the knees start to meet in the right place, and then that can take pressure off the hips, the muscles, and once the muscles relax, then the vertebrae can come back into its more correct place. So bit by bit by bit, the body starts to realign itself, I said. And in saying that, I won't be able to, I'll concentrate on the feet and correct your feet, get them back working again, but the body will heal the way it wants to heal. So it's not necessarily going to fix your knees, and then it's going to fix your hips, then your spine. It's not going to go up in that flow, because that's not the way it all went out. So your body is amazing. It can actually decode itself and unravel itself. So I can give you some examples, but each person is a little bit different. I said to her, first it might go to your neck, and then it might come down to a hip, and then it could go to the knee. I said the body will decode itself. When something sort of flares up a little bit, or the muscles start to ache, you know that your body is starting to right itself and put itself back into place. And that's beautiful, because it's not me pushing your hips into place or pushing your shoulder into place. The body is actually doing it itself. The muscles are relaxing, and the body can come back in its position again. She goes, well, this is going to be very exciting. And I said, it will be. I said, I do get 95% success, so you've got to be really unlucky for this not to work. So away we started, and so it was 2 treatments a week for 8 weeks with her, because she had so many conditions going on in the body. She was on arthritis medication. She was on painkillers and anti-inflammatories. and I don't tell people to go off them. That's not my job. My job is just to fix up the feet and concentrate on that. And so as we moved through the weeks, the pain started to get less, the flexibility started to come back in. She could stand up straighter and be able to balance on both hips with the standing. Some of you might know exactly what I'm talking about, because you can't put full weight on both hips. You'll go onto one side to take pressure off the other hip. And you know, that's okay for short term, but you don't want to be doing that for long term. So as we progressed further into the treatments, everything started to realign itself, and by the time we'd got into the 4th week, she was just so happy. She says, I can feel my body rebalancing. I can feel everything starting to want to rework again, and it's kind of weird because I know what the body is trying to achieve, so it kind of feels familiar, but it's kind of weird at the same time. I said, yep. And, you know, I said, support yourself with Himalayan salt baths or Epsom salt baths, and if you've got some magnesium at home, take a bit of that, and just help your body, aid your body, give it good vegetables, some fruit to build all those minerals up to replace what the body is trying to heal. And she did extremely well. Oh, I guess I had a part to play. I did well too. And everything. Oh, she had bunions too, that's right, on her feet. And so everything started to realign bit by bit. It won't happen overnight, but it does happen. So it just takes time, because it took her 60 years to get to where she is. It is going to take me the 8 weeks to reverse it, which is still pretty cool. That's only like 2 months to reverse something that's been there for like 40 years, 50 years. So, and then she was, I think she came in about the 6th week, and she says, you know, Maree, I'm not taking any painkillers now, and I don't need the inflammation tablets. And I said, really? And she goes, yeah, I've checked in with the doctor, and he's all cool that if I haven't got the pain, I don't need to take the medication. And if the pain comes back, go back on the medication. I said, oh, sweet, awesome, man, that's going to be even better for you, because you're not getting those extra substances that are in those medications to, you know, interfere with livers and kidneys. So awesome, that's even better. And so by the time we got to the 8th week, you know, her feet were quite strong, and she could get into shoes that she hadn't got into shoes for quite a while. Her arthritis in the knee had gone, the swelling had gone. She was able to bend down and pick things up off the floor and get up again quite easily. Her hips weren't hurting at night time when she was on the golf course, you know, getting into the 9th hole, 10th hole, 11th hole. The hips weren't aching anymore. She, her lower back was stronger, and it didn't ache in bed, or when she was gardening, or even bending over for the bowls as well. And her upper back was better. Her neck had more movement that wasn't going out anymore. Her frozen shoulder had more movement in her shoulder than she'd had for years. Her tennis elbow was, her elbows are really good. She was able to throw the ball around, you know, in bowls. She was able to pick it up a lot easier and get that moving and put it where she wanted to get it. And her hands, her wrists were stronger, and her fingers were out straight. The ligaments had relaxed, and she had full movement in her hands. And I was like looking at her and going, wow, this is so cool. And she goes, you're telling me. She had tick, 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 tick on everything in the body, and yet I had only touched her feet. I hadn't done any massage. She hadn't gone to any chiropractors or osteopaths or anyone else. It was solely just doing her feet. And it was just amazing to watch her body unwind itself again over all those years and re-strengthen itself. You know, all I did was focus on her feet. So it gives you an idea of the depth of the foot joint mobilization that I do, and the power that it has. I've seen wonderful things happen with people, almost like miracles. And you just sort of like go, wow, the body is so amazing. It can heal itself given the right chance. Sometimes you need somebody to help you through that process. Sometimes you can just change your diet and you can get back on track again. But there's always an effort. It doesn't matter which way you heal, there's an effort. It takes an effort to change your diet, to have good food. It takes an effort to get a garden going and get vegetables growing. It takes an effort to remember to take a magnesium tablet. It's never just given to you, boom, like that. I mean, occasionally we get miracles, and that's fine. That's all good. I love miracles. But quite often, there's an effort. You have to make an effort to be well. You know, so take your time, work out what you want, go for it, you know, and once you start getting those benefits, then that encourages you to keep going. It's a little bit hard to start at times because it's an effort to get going. But once you start and you get start getting those results, then you get all excited and passionate, and you want everyone else to feel good as well. So you start telling people, well, do this, do that, and try this, and get going, because there is nothing better than having good health and well-being. And you know, you feel happy, you have that passion, and you have that deep happiness that just bubbles up. Sometimes you have to do a bit of releasing and letting go and forgiving to have that real, true, bubbly, happy stuff. But you know, sometimes it's just we've forgotten what good health is really like. So if you need to ring me, have a chat to me, make an appointment. I do all sorts of different things. My number is 027 0272 49 50 90. I was just remembering a client telling me, oh, I was hearing it on the radio and I had nothing to write on, and I just had a pen and I wrote it on my dashboard on the car. It was like, so it's 0272 49 50 90, and my clinic is in Hastings and Waipakarau. So in Hastings, I'm here Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, and Waipakarau Mondays and Fridays. Thank you for listening.